Hold on a minute. Hold on a second. Wow. Two themes playing. Okay. Hey everybody, it is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are here to give you some live updates on what's going on in the Middle East. We're going to be doing probably a bit of a shorter stream today. That doesn't mean we can't cover more tonight, but probably stay on for a couple hours here. And then I have to go to a family event. And then if there's stuff happening after, we'll stream after. We'll just have to see how it plays out. So just a heads up in advance. Going to bring you some updates. It is 9:42 p.m. Israel and Lebanon time. So we'll give you updates on what's going on the aftermath of the killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar yesterday in Gaza. We'll talk about that. And we'll take some of your comments on the air as well. Thanks so much to you for being here. Thanks also to our moderators. Ruth Kafasi and Misunderstood are moderating over there on YouTube. Robert's May Queen is there. Thank you. Also on Twitch, we have moderating right now Good Luck Duck and Surly Dev. Moderating over there. And we have Linda Belk and Larry on X. Sabrina is modding too. That sounds like something happening with the cameraman or something. Also, thanks to thanks to our Facebook moderators as well. You know what? Hang on a second here. Give me a moment. Testing 1 2 test test test. Okay. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2 test test. I think we're okay here, volume wise. We should be. Sorry, I wanted to thank our Facebook moderators as well. Testing, testing, 1 2 3 4. Seems a little better. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Kay Lowry Body's moderating on Facebook. Thank you, Kay. I appreciate it. Okay, also a thank you to W. Bester for your support. Thanks, W. Bester. Also our member Robin Ridge and our member Natalie Perkowski, thank you. And our member Mark Barnes, thank you. And also Robin Ridge and Alf both gave gift memberships. That is so nice of them. Thank you, Robin Ridge and Alf, for the gift memberships. I want to start by mentioning Hamas put out a statement today, and I want to mention something from the statement. They put out a statement of obituary on their leader Yahya Sinwar, who I'm sure most of you know was killed by Israel in Gaza yesterday, the leader of Hamas. One thing they said in their statement, I'm going to read you the end. It says, "We say to those who cry over the Israel's prisoners, hostages held by the resistance, that these prisoners, hostages, will not return unless the aggression against Gaza is stopped, the withdrawal from it and the release of our heroic prisoners from Israel's prisons. So what they're saying is they're not giving back the hostages until Israel stops fighting against Hamas in Gaza, Israel withdraws from Gaza, and Hamas prisoners are released from Israel. Now, that kind of sounds like the deal that had been discussed, in months past. One thing when I see that, though, it doesn't say. What it doesn't say is, we're going to give you hostages in exchange for Yahya Sinwar's body. There is nothing in there about giving back hostages in exchange for the body. So, at least if they're being truthful in what they're saying, that would not appear to be on the table. There had been some speculation about that yesterday. Again, they say the hostages will not be returned unless Israeli aggression against Gaza is stopped, Israel withdraws from it, and there are Hamas prisoners released from Israeli prisons. And as I said, that's, some form of that has been talked about as a possible ceasefire. There's been speculation as to whether Sinwar's death might help move along ceasefire negotiations in Gaza, but we'll have to see what happens there. I have no idea. Little boom we just heard right there. Hey, thank you, My Dog Daisy, so much for your support. That's really nice of you. My Dog Daisy and also Top Frag. Thank you. Thanks, Top Frag. And I just want to repeat for folks. So today, the way we're doing this today is we're probably going to do a shorter stream, at least initially, because unless there's something enormous going on, I need to go to like a family thing after a couple hours. But, if there's big developments later, we can always come back on and cover it. So I just want to give people a heads up that normally we do a longer stream, but if something big is not happening, we won't do a longer one, at least this one. Just so you know. Dr. Seuss, thank you, who says, is there proof the hostages are alive? Well, all I can tell you is I have seen a number of estimates. I just read an article yesterday that said the latest estimate was it's assumed around like half of them are alive. But look, I don't have the evidence of it. I'm guessing Israel does. Israel appears to believe that there's hostages who are alive. So I'm assuming that Israel has evidence of it. But again, I am not, and the general public is not privy to that information. But that is not, as far as I'm aware, the belief of Israel is that there are a number of them who are still alive. But I don't know what evidence Israel has for that. They have all kinds of intelligence, which they're not going to share with the general public. But I read an article yesterday where it said the estimate was about half of them were alive. I forget where that article was. Might have been in The Economist or the New York Times or something like that. Thank you so much, Dr. Seuss, and thank you so much, Ermi T, for the gift memberships. Thank you, Ermi. It's very possible that, I wouldn't be surprised if Israel doesn't know 100% for sure who's alive and not alive. There's also been concerns that Hamas may kill hostages as a response to Sinwar's getting killed by Israel. However, the hostages are very valuable bargaining chips for Hamas, so I don't think they would. There's a value to having live hostages for Hamas. Shutterbug Shannon says the drone video of Sinwar's last moments was so crazy. Uh-oh. I'm sorry. You know what happened? Something got messed up. Obviously, the Tel Aviv stream that I have up there as Tel Aviv is not the Tel Aviv stream. It's just it's different. What got messed up here? Yes, obviously, this stream is the same as this stream. We had a little bit of an issue here. Sorry, I thought I had corrected it, but it did not get corrected. Let me fix it. There's Tel Aviv right there. Thanks for letting me know in the chat. Sorry. I put that up there right before the stream, and I just didn't double check it, and it was just the same stream. So thanks for letting me know. Do I have any updates on IDF ground progress in Lebanon? I'll let you know what I hear. I'm going to start checking some stuff in a moment and let you know what the latest is. I'm going to get into it and check the latest updates here. I'm checking some of the Lebanese news outlets here. By the way, Faytuck's News pointed this out, that according to the Times of Israel, Channel 12 Israel is claiming that Israel has requested a second THAAD missile defense battery ahead of their attack on Iran. We already know that the U.S. is sending one THAAD defense anti-missile battery to Israel. Again, according to the Times of Israel, Channel 12 News is saying that Israel is requesting a second one. Again, thanks to Faytuck's News for finding that. I went to the Channel 12 News website, and I couldn't find the story, but it was posted earlier, I assume. I mean, I assume it's really there somewhere. Or they might have just talked about it on the air and not on their website. But JVD thinks it's very late to go request stuff. Richie Mick says that would be about 200 American soldiers in Israel, because roughly 100 are needed to operate a battery. By the way, thank you, Michael King, who talked about the 400,000 or so Palestinians under siege in North Gaza and the lack of aid there that we have been taught. That has been, a number of countries have expressed concern about that. I'll try to get you an update on that. Thank you, Michael King. We have talked about that on previous streams. Oh, Sharon GS mentioned this story I just mentioned about the reported, again, that's not official. Channel 12 saying Israel requested a second THAAD battery from the U.S. Do you think Israel will still attack Iran? I've heard nothing to the contrary. I certainly think Israel will do something. I mean, Iran launched around 200 missiles at Israel. So I do think Israel will do something. I don't know if the timing changes because of what happened yesterday with Israel killing Sinwar. I don't know if they changed what they're going to do. I was reading an article in The Economist that was suggesting that maybe Israel could try to get Iran to pressure Hamas to come to the table to negotiate a ceasefire. So maybe there's a world in which if Iran does something, and who knows, maybe Iran could pressure Hezbollah to negotiate with Israel. But who knows what kind of diplomatic things are going on underneath. So I don't know if Israel's response to Iran is set in stone or if maybe it could be adjusted. Shaggy thinks no one's negotiating squat. Wow, Shaggy. Very pessimistic. Let's see here. Here's something from Associated Press. Ooh, windy. All of a sudden got really windy. Got to turn it down a little bit there. Remind me to turn it back up. AP says, Israel and Hamas signal they are no closer to ending Gaza war after Sinwar's death. As I mentioned, Hamas confirmed today its leader, Yahya Sinwar, was killed by Israeli forces in Gaza and reiterated its stance that hostages they took from Israel will not be released until there's a ceasefire in Gaza and a withdrawal of Israeli troops. The group's staunch position pushed back against statements by Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday that his country, Israel, will keep fighting until the hostages are released and will remain in Gaza to prevent a severely weakened Hamas from rearming. The stands taken by the two sides signal, at least publicly, says AP, that they have not moved any closer to ending their conflict, even as President Biden and other world leaders press the case that Sinwar's killing is a turning point that should be used to unlock stalled ceasefire negotiations. Also, Hezbollah said today that it planned to launch a new phase of fighting by sending more guided missiles and exploding drones into Israel. Something else to keep in mind. That's Hezbollah, not Hamas. The second in charge, well, the deputy to Sinwar of Hamas, who is in Qatar, Khalil al-Hayya, said that Sinwar died confronting the occupation army until the last moment of his life. Al-Hayya said Hamas will not return any of the hostages before the end of the aggression on Gaza and the withdrawal from Gaza. Hamas praised Sinwar in a statement, calling him a hero for not retreating, brandishing his weapon, engaging and confronting the occupation army at the forefront of the ranks. The statement appeared to reveal to a video the Israeli military circulated of Sinwar's apparent last moments, in which a man sits on a chair in a severely damaged building, badly wounded and covered in dust. In the video, the man raises his hand and flings a stick at an approaching Israeli drone. We saw that video yesterday. I know a lot of you have seen it. I have it posted on my social media, at Lookner on X, where he throws a stick at this drone. Soon after that, the Israeli military said he was, I don't know if the Israeli military said this or it's just been reported, but it's reported he was killed after that, soon after that. So, you know, I saw some takes. Some people think, I don't know what to think about this. I've seen some takes saying that they thought maybe Israel shouldn't have released that video because it could, among supporters, make Sinwar a martyr, you know, make it seem like, you know, he was fighting nobly until the end kind of thing. I don't know. So they thought it might be something, some people thought that video might be something that inspires Hamas supporters. I don't know what to think about it. It's an interesting take. Jen Rob says, who is running Hamas now? That's a good question. I don't know that anyone is running Hamas now. I read some article last night talking about how it would be difficult for Hamas to be run now because, you know, they're so degraded and they're in hiding, and it's hard to communicate. And if they start communicating a lot, then they are vulnerable to Israel detecting their communications. Where did I read that? Let me see if I can find it. See if I can find it. Yeah, you know, the magazine Foreign Policy had an article yesterday, FP, where they had talked about, they said in the article, one of the things they said was that they talked about how difficult it is for Hamas to communicate now. You know, so many people in Hamas has been killed, especially among the leadership. And then if they do try to communicate between themselves, they risk being detected and killed. But with their, you know, they're in hiding, and if they communicate, maybe they do it by, like, you know, not by picking up the phone, obviously, but maybe they do it in person or with notes or whatever, who knows. But With that reduced communication, that's going to make it difficult. The idea is that that's going to make it difficult for anyone to step in and start running the whole organization. So I thought that was an interesting observation. It's not like they're all going to get on a Zoom call and have a vote for their next leader. Helen says, praying for the end of the war in the Middle East and thinking about early voting. Did this just pause or something? Hold on a second here. Sorry, I gotta fix my chat window. Second here. Oops. Mark Mortimer says Israel will be monitoring electronic messages. Frank Pellegrino thinks he died running for his life like the coward he was. Mo the Crow thinks if Israel attacks Iran, it will be its last move. Frodo's says tin can with string. That's how he thinks they'll communicate. I do believe that I saw something once that Hamas, I think, had like ground phone lines that they had installed in their tunnels to let them communicate. I don't know if those have been compromised at this point too. Connor Murphy, I don't believe there's been an announcement of a new Hamas leader. I don't think. I might be wrong, but I'll check. Let me check. I got to check a couple things here. Yeah, look, I mean, here's an article from Reuters. Hamas likely to name new leader from outside Gaza after Sinwar's death. What is this? I might have a video.
Pledges from
I
Israel.
might have a video I can show you too. Ooh, no, that has a lot of stuff in it. Reuters says the Palestinian militant group Hamas will likely replace Yahya Sinwar with a new political leader based outside Gaza, while his brother, Mohammed Sinwar, is expected to assume a bigger role directing the war against Israel in Gaza. You know, prior to a couple months ago, they had multiple leaders. They had a political leader who was based in Qatar, Ismail Haniyeh. But then Israel, it is believed, assassinated Haniyeh in Tehran, Iran. And then Sinwar was named the overall leader. Reuters says in its leadership deliberations, Hamas must consider not only the preferences of its main backer, Iran, but also the interests of the Gulf Arab state of Qatar, where all the main candidates to take over as Politburo chief currently reside. Politburo would be policy-making body. Political organ, as opposed to military. Sorry, it's really windy. Got very windy in Gaza. I'm turning down the volume of that camera. Not Gaza. It got very windy on the Israel-Lebanon border in northern Israel, so I just turned down that camera a bit. Sinwar was killed yesterday by Israel. Well, killed 2 days ago in Gaza by Israel. That's the second time in less than 3 months that Israel has killed a top Hamas leader. When Sinwar replaced Haniyeh 2 months ago, after Haniyeh was killed, he fused together both the military and political leadership of Hamas in Gaza. But that does not appear likely this time around, says Reuters. After more of a year of ferocious Israeli attacks that have pounded Hamas, killed thousands of its fighters, and eliminated senior figures in Hamas, both inside and outside of Gaza, it is not clear how Hamas will emerge from this latest blow. Yahya Sinwar's deputy, Khalil al-Hayya, who is viewed as a potential successor, struck a defiant note today, saying that Israeli hostages would not be returned until Israeli troops withdrew from Gaza and the war ended. You know, I remember. Here's a picture of Khalil al-Hayya. Oh, I just heard a boom on the camera. I remember seeing him speak. That is Khalil al-Hayya right there on the right. He was the deputy to Sinwar, and he's based in Qatar. I remember when we were covering the funeral of someone. Was it Haniyeh's funeral? We were covering somebody's funeral, maybe Haniyeh's funeral, a couple months ago. And I remember him speaking and seeing him speak. I think he was speaking at the funeral in Iran. I remember we saw him a bunch on the coverage. I don't know if there's going to have a Sinwar funeral. I mean, I don't think Hamas fighters are going to gather outdoors in Gaza at a funeral for Sinwar. Maybe they'll have some kind of secret ceremony or something. Reuters says Hamas has a history of quickly and efficiently replacing its fallen leaders, with its top decision-making body, the Shura Council, tasked with naming a new head. The Shura Council represents all Hamas members in the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, Israeli prisons, and the Palestinian diaspora, which is the people outside of the region who have gone other places. Meaning the new leader should have the authority to enter ceasefire talks, even if he is not in Gaza, where Hamas gunmen still hold dozens of Israelis hostage. Besides Hayya, who is Hamas's chief negotiator, the other main leadership contenders are Khaled Mashal, Haniyeh's predecessor, and Mohammed Darwish, a little-known figure who chairs the Shura Council, according to analysts and a Hamas source. Hamas will need to notify Qatar, which has played a major role in rounds of so far fruitless ceasefire talks, and other regional capitals ahead of its decision, the source said. So again, no leadership replacement yet. Let me read you a little more. This is an interesting article on Hamas is replacing Sinwar. I'm going to read some more of this and then take some of your comments. Reuters says they talked to an expert on Palestinian affairs, Ashraf Abulhul, and he said he expected Sinwar's responsibilities to get split between two roles. One person overseeing military affairs and another running the political office, meaning responsibility for international contacts and shaping policies. That's how it was until a couple months ago. Sinwar was the leader in Gaza, but then outside of Gaza there was a political leader, Haniyeh. The expert Abulhul said Iran is Hamas's strongest ally, which supports the group with money and weapons, and their blessing is key to who becomes Sinwar's successor. He expected Hamas to stick by core demands in future ceasefire talks, chiefly that Israeli forces withdraw from Gaza and stop the war. But Hamas could show more flexibility on some conditions, such as the details of any deal swapping Israeli hostages for Palestinians imprisoned by Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel has declared Sinwar's killing a milestone, but said that the war is not yet over and said fighting would continue until the hostages are released. So Israel is saying fighting will continue until the hostages are released. Hamas is saying we're not releasing hostages until you stop fighting. Hamas was founded in 1987 and is a branch of the Sunni Islamist Muslim Brotherhood movement, says Reuters. Its decisions are usually taken through consensus in Hamas institutions. With Sinwar dead, the Hamas leadership for Gaza has temporarily passed to his Qatar-based deputy Yahya. But the ongoing war and communication difficulties might impose limits on just how much day-to-day contact Yahya in Qatar can have with men on the ground in Gaza, leaving the armed wing of Hamas, the Qassam brigades, in the driving seat, experts say. A Hamas source said Yahya in Qatar was expected to encounter no problems exercising his role as de facto Gaza leader. The source noted that Yahya had maintained good relations with the military wing and had been close to both Sinwar and Hania. A Palestinian political analyst, Akram Atala, said he expected the armed wing to respect Yahya's authority even from afar. He also expected Mohammed Sinwar, Yahya's brother, to emerge as a more significant figure in the armed wing and in Hamas in general. A veteran commander of the Qassam brigades, Mohammed Sinwar, brother of Yahya Sinwar, has seldom appeared in public, has long been on Israel's most wanted list, and has survived several attempts on his life. Anyways, those are some updates by Reuters on the question of who will succeed Yahya Sinwar. Oop, we have a boom there from the northern border. All right, I'm going to read some of your comments now. Wow, Jocelyn, by the way, gave 50 memberships. That is incredibly generous. Make sure you thank Jocelyn if you got a gift membership from her. That's really nice of you, Jocelyn. Thank you. Also, thank you so much to Rain Tarrant for your support. Rain Tarrant and Alf. Alf thinks something is going on behind the scenes delaying an Iranian attack. I think Russia's new factions could be the cause. Who knows? Thank you, Alf. I mean, I don't know. I think, also, it's a huge decision Israel has been working on, what to do with Iran. So there also could have just been disagreement in Israel on what to do. There's also issues with doing any kind of prep that's needed for it. For example, Israel getting this U.S. THAAD defense system set up. Also, Israel may want to fully discuss things with its allies before doing so. So I don't know. Maybe what happened yesterday with Sinwar will delay it further. Thank you also, our new member, Thanasis Skolarikos. Thank you, Thanasis, for being a member. And Nicholas Agelreed Rechtsanwalt. Thank you for becoming a member. Also, Sebastian Pina, who I think is in the UAE. Thanks for your support. And Annabelle, our new member, thank you. And also, Christopher McFall. Thank you so much, Christopher, for your support. Also, Psyops on Twitch, Who Shot JR on Twitch, Flumpingtons on Twitch. Thank you for your support. And Sir Random on Twitch. Thank you. Also, Of9 gave out 5 community subs on Twitch. That is really nice of you, Of9. Thank you. TechSlug gave out 5 community subs. Wow. Also, the Metalomaniac, thanks for your support on Twitch. And Sweetums. And Mystic ZBM and Rolila. So nice of you. Then F9 gave out, I think, 5 more gift subs on Twitch. Thank you, F9, for all the gift subs on Twitch. I appreciate that. Also, the Trash Flower. Actually, I'm behind. Of9 gave out 10 more. I think Of9 gave out 20 gift subs on Twitch. Of9, that is super nice of you. Thank you. Also, Quake Clouds, thanks for subscribing on Twitch. And Delta Function, thanks for the gift sub on Twitch. Sorry, I'm so behind on the Twitch thank yous. That's my fault. So nice of you on Twitch. Thanks for all your support over there. And thanks El Spuno for resubscribing on Twitch. All right, hang on a moment here. Inspirational Like says, has Iran been notified of the incoming attack from Israel? Not if Israel is expecting to, well, I don't know. If there's anything, if they want to, I mean, that would certainly, you'd think, restrict the amount of damage such an attack could do. So I'm not a party to this. Who knows what goes on behind closed doors, but there's been no reporting on that. I don't know what Israel tells them. I guess there's a world in which Israel would try to avoid killing people or something and might give them a heads up about something beforehand. But if you're Israel, you don't want to do anything that makes the strike less effective. So that I don't know. Biden today said he knew what the response was going to be. And I think he said when. Faytux News posted a clip of him. Where Faytux News posted a clip of him, I guess today, where he said, he was asked, do you know how Israel will respond to Iran and when? And he said yes and yes. And the reporter said, can you tell us? And Biden said no and no. That is from Faytux News, at Faytuks. Good person to follow for Middle East updates. At Faytux. But yes, we just heard a boom on the northern border camera. We're hearing some booms. Military activity continuing. I believe Israel also, I think Israel called up another brigade or something to help fight in the southern Lebanon. Yeah, Jerusalem Post said IDF calls up additional reserve brigade for the combat in the north. Did the IDF they might have just posted about it. Yeah, they posted about it. Hold on. I'll show you what they said. Oh, I got to talk about another thing too. Where is that announcement here? Hold on. Yes, the IDF said, in accordance with the situational assessment, we are calling up an additional reserve brigade for operational missions in the northern arena. This will enable the continuation of combat efforts against the Hezbollah terrorist organization and the achievement of the goals of the war, including the safe return of the residents of northern Israel to their homes. So more forces called up by Israel to the north. Now, brigade, I think, is thousands of troops, because according to Wikipedia, a brigade is about the typical NATO standard brigade consists of about 5,000 troops. And reserve brigade is people who would be, basically they serve, but they're not full-time soldiers. They are subject to getting called up and put into active duty. Wikipedia says a military reserve force is a military organization whose members have military and civilian occupations. They are not normally kept under arms. So in Israel has a lot of reserve forces that can be called up in times of need. But anyway, so Israel is bringing more troops to the north. Vanessa's friend says Israeli brigades are much smaller. How much smaller? One of our viewers thinks, hold on. Some of our viewers are saying it's in the thousands. I would think it's in the thousands. I'm looking at an article from the Jerusalem Post from last November, where the Jerusalem Post said that the IDF sources said there were, hold on. In this article from the Jerusalem Post last November, it said the IDF believed Hamas started the war with 30,000 men in 5 regional brigades, which would be about 6,000 people per Hamas brigade. So, I mean, if it's a brigade, I would think it's in the thousands. Rich Martin thinks it's between 1,500 to 3,000. That's what Gregory Pelletieri thinks. Anyways, my guess is we're talking about the thousands. Hey, thanks to Janet Burnett. That's so generous of you. Wow. Janet Burnett, thanks for all your support. Very kind of you, Janet Burnett. Really appreciate it. Thanks to our new member, Christine West. Thank you to our supporter, Mahadev Krishna. When do you think Israel will retaliate on Iran? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know before. And I especially don't know now because I don't know if, there's some kind of rocket alert. Hold on, let me check the rocket alert. I don't know if they're going to wait to see if there's any new developments after yesterday. The new rocket alert, according to so far, a bunch of ones, it's not going to be, I don't think we're going to hear this on the Kiryat Shimona camera. Our camera's up here. These are near the north, but over here. Upper Galilee. Some rocket alerts going up in the upper Galilee area. That's on the SOFAR map. So I don't think that's going to be close enough to Kiryat Shimona for us to hear stuff on this camera. Anyways, Mahadev, and thanks for being a new member as well. I have no idea. But maybe with Sinwar killed, they're going to see if anything develops out of that, negotiations-wise. I don't know. I don't know if that delays things at all. I mean, we're getting close to the election, too. There could be a world in which Israel just says, we'll wait until after the election in the U.S. Thanks to Dodger Blue. Thanks to Habanero Chi. Thank you. Christine West, our new member. Annabelle, our new member. Kim, our new member. Lady of the Lake thinks Israel will wait until what? After the election? Oh, wow. Rick D. Thanks so much, Rick D. That's really generous of you. Thanks for all your support. Rick D. Really appreciate it. Rick gave a ton of people memberships yesterday. That's really nice of you, Rick. Thanks, Rick D. Just a reminder about today's stream. So this stream is not going to be as long as some of our streams, as our usual, because in about an hour or so, I will need to, if there's not a huge thing happening, I need to go to like a family thing. But if there's big doings tonight, we might do more coverage. Well, if there's big doings, we will do more coverage. But we might have coverage after that. So I just want to let people know in advance. Once in a while, things come up. And so if there's something huge going on right at the time, I'll stick around. But just to let you know. I mean, normally I'd have to take some time to go eat anyway. So I'll be eating while I'm away. So firefighter retired thinks Israel is still waiting on THAAD to get set up. Oh, I wanted to mention something else as well. Hold on. So I'm just checking a couple different things for updates. So give me one moment here. Al Mayadeen says, Houthis are going to make a statement at 11 p.m. local time. Now they do make statements, the Houthis, fairly regularly. In about 24 minutes, they're supposed to make some statement or other. Maybe they'll make a statement about Sinwar, because the Houthis have been firing missiles and drones at Israel in support of Hamas, in opposition to Israel's war in Gaza. Let me show you this. This happened today. This was posted about 10 hours ago by Israel. 2 terrorists crossed from Jordan into Israeli territory south of the Dead Sea. IDF soldiers identified and eliminated the terrorists. Additional forces have been dispatched to reinforce the area and are conducting searches on the ground and air for an additional terrorist who likely fled the scene. AP says such infiltrations are relatively rare, especially as Israel has ramped up border security since the Hamas attack in October of last year. Oh, a couple other updates here. Israel says it has killed the Hamas militant who guarded Sinwar. Israel's military said it killed the militant who guarded the late Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, says AP. I should be able to get the statement for you. Let me just get the actual statement from the IDF. Let's do that. Yes, Israel said the terrorist Mahmoud Hamdan is the commander of the Tel al-Sultan battalion of Hamas, who was responsible for the security of Sinwar and the 6 hostages who were murdered in the area. A few weeks ago, it was determined he was most likely eliminated, following intelligence information. So he wasn't killed yet 2 days ago. Oh, no, he was. All right, so hold on. I hadn't even read this announcement yet. Today, we understand that the intelligence finding on which his death was based was not accurate enough, so that he continued to secure Sinwar. And today he was killed by the IDF fighters in the command of the Gaza division, about 200 meters from the point where Sinwar was killed. So they're saying that they thought they had killed this guy, but he was actually still alive, and they killed him today. The person who was responsible for Sinwar's security and the security of the 6 hostages who were murdered in the area. I want to say a month or 2 ago. Okay. Then there's also a video Israel released. Look at this. Earlier today, the Air Force successfully intercepted 2 drones that made their way into Israel from Lebanon. The vessels were intercepted before they crossed into the territory of the State of Israel. You can see the drone go into the water. See, the drone is flying and they shoot at it. I guess we're seeing both of them maybe, or it's the same thing twice. remember, there's both Israel and Lebanon are on the coast. So in theory, you could send a drone towards Israel going over the water. Hold on. Just to show you here. Nope. So we have Israel here, and we have Lebanon up here. So I don't know if the drones were sent out here to go into Israel this way. Oh, Steve Smith mentioned the Institute for the Study of War. Thanks for reminding me. I wanted to talk about that. Thanks, Steve Smith, for mentioning that. Let's thank our moderators here. Ruth Krafasi is moderating. Thank you. Misunderstood. Roberts Mayqueen. Linda Belkin Larry on X. On Twitch. Big Ball of Yarn, I got that fire in Surly Dev. Margaret Riley on Facebook. Thank you. Charlotte Webb. Thanks for moderating over there. Thanks to our subscriber, Diane Allworth, too. Give me one moment here. Sorry, I'm just checking for updates here. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, they had some analysis in Institute for the Study of War about Sinwar's death and what would follow, as our viewer mentioned. ISW. I will read some of this to you, but I'll post a link to the article. I like that site, Institute for the Study of War. I'll post the link to the article right now. But they have good updates about the Middle East and about Russia, Ukraine, and different other conflicts going on. They say that Sinwar's death will not end Israeli operations in the Gaza Strip. They say it's unlikely to trigger a rethink within Hamas about Hamas's basic strategy, which is to survive the war and secure a ceasefire that results in a total Israeli withdrawal. Sinwar, they say, will be replaced by capable military commanders in the Gaza Strip and equally extreme political leaders abroad. A total Israeli withdrawal would be akin to Israel's surrender in the war, and would enable Sinwar's capable successors to rebuild Hamas's military organization over the next decade to threaten Israel once more. Institute for the Study of War says Sinwar's brother Mohammed Sinwar is the most likely candidate to officially take over the group's military wing and guide the rebuilding of Hamas. They said he has a strong understanding of Hamas's logistical and manpower requirements to rebuild if Israel were to withdraw from the Gaza Strip. They say he would likely share his leadership role with other top Hamas military commanders. Institute for the Study of War says Israeli operations have segmented the Gaza Strip into two halves, north and south, that are inaccessible to each other. Israeli forces have... Israel occupies a strip going across the Gaza Strip, separating north and south. Israeli forces have destroyed underground tunnel networks between the two halves that would have allowed the movement of military personnel and supplies, therefore requiring a second Hamas commander to run the day-to-day activities in the northern Gaza Strip. They say that Izz al-Din al-Haddad is the most senior surviving Hamas military commander in the northern Gaza Strip. They say that both Mohammed Sinwar, who is Yahya Sinwar's brother, and Haddad will lack sufficient command and control even within the southern and northern strip because Israeli operations have dismantled much of Hamas's conventional military command structure. However, they will be unable to guide military operations meaningfully while Israeli pressure persists. Like Reuters, ISW believes that the most likely political leader to succeed Sinwar is Hamas Deputy Political Bureau Chairman Khalil al-Hayya, who is in Qatar. Hayya has played a key role in ceasefire negotiations. Okay. The relationship with Iran is likely a top priority for Hamas. Hamas, now the ISW, Institute for the Study of War, in their analysis, they say that Hamas recognizes it cannot win on the battlefield. The group instead seeks to exploit the hostages it still holds for political gain. Hamas executed 6 hostages in late August in an attempt to trigger protests within Israel that would force Prime Minister Netanyahu to concede to Hamas's ceasefire demands. That's what the ISW believes. The execution of the hostages triggered massive protests on a scale not seen since 2023 in Israel. The 2023 protests against the judiciary reforms proposed by Netanyahu in the government were one of the immediate triggers that led Hamas to believe that the October 7th attacks, in combination with attacks from Iran and Hezbollah, would cause the collapse of Israel. That's what the Institute for the Study of War says. Hamas believes Israeli society is inherently weak and that triggering domestic protests is one way to pressure Netanyahu to concede to Hamas's ceasefire demands. Institute for the Study of War believes it's extremely unlikely that Hamas will release the hostages, even if the Hamas leaders, the Hamas higher-ups in Gaza will release the hostages, even if the Hamas leadership outside of Gaza chose to pursue a new strategy and secure a ceasefire under Israel's terms. That's interesting. Mohammed Sinwar and Haddad will have an outsized role in Hamas because they are the individuals who control the hostages on the ground, and therefore they would hold a veto over any ceasefire. Interesting point. Mohammed Sinwar, they say, given his closeness to his brother in the planning of this war, very likely holds similar views to Yahya Sinwar on a ceasefire. The diminished command and control situation within Hamas will also make gathering and conducting an accurate count of the living hostages extremely difficult, further complicating negotiations. So they're saying that even if the Qatar-based political figures in Hamas reach some deal with Israel over a ceasefire, the military commanders of Hamas within Gaza might just not go along, might just not want to go along with it, and they're saying they wouldn't. ISW says Hamas's strategy is unlikely to change given Hamas's current organizational trajectory. Yahya Sinwar's head selection in August as the unified head of Hamas demonstrated the ascendance of Hamas's most extreme pro-Iranian wing at the expense of relatively less pro-Iran factions. The Sinwar's deputy Yahya said today that Israel had killed Yahya Sinwar, but he added Sinwar's death did not change Hamas's negotiating position, a full Israeli withdrawal and the end to the war in return for the hostages. Interesting. A ceasefire under Hamas's terms is entirely unacceptable for Israel because it will allow the highly skilled military leadership of Hamas to rebuild and threaten Israel again in the next decade. The rebuilding process may be slow, but a ceasefire that enables Hamas to rebuild by removing Israeli forces that would prevent smuggling between Egypt and Gaza will condemn Israel to fight this war again. A ceasefire under Israeli terms, which include the maintenance of the Philadelphia corridor, meaning the border between Egypt and Gaza. Israel wants to keep troops on that border. Doing so would enable Israeli forces to ensure that Hamas could not resupply itself and rebuild the capabilities it has used in the past to threaten Israel. So what they're talking about is, if you look at a map here, Gaza Strip is surrounded by Israel on these sides, but Egypt here. And so Israel wants to keep troops on the Gaza-Egypt border, so they can prevent weapons being smuggled in and other supplies to Hamas from Egypt. Because Israel can control this border, because that's a border with Israel. But this is a border with Egypt. So they want to keep troops on this narrow corridor between that lies between, that would be on the border between Gaza and Egypt. Anyways, that's an interesting article. If you want to read the whole article, I will post the link to Institute for the Study of War. Thanks to the viewer for reminding me it was there, that article. But you can read the whole article there, and they have lots of good stuff on, they do frequent updates on Israel and Iran and all different kinds of conflicts around the world, Russia, Ukraine, and so forth. So I'll post the link to the article again. I appreciate them letting me show you their material. I just posted a link to the article. They are also on X at the Study of War, at the Study of War. They post updates there, at the Study of War. Good account to follow. Are we expecting something in Tel Aviv? No, I had the camera, so I just threw it up there. I figured I'd put it up there just to have it up there, but there's nothing specially expected there. Hey, thank you so much to Marissa Pugliese for the gift memberships. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Marissa. Also, thank you to Alex S. for your support. So nice of you, Alex S. Rick D gave more gift memberships. So generous of you, Rick D. Thank you. Make sure you thank somebody if they give you a gift membership or a gift subscription. Thank you, David L, for your support. Thank you also, Sam Duwez, for your support. Thank you, Sam Duez, if I pronounced that right. And also, Richard Foley, so generous of you, Richard. Thanks for all of your support, Richard Foley, and the stickers and all your support. That is really kind of you. Richard Foley, thank you. Also, over on Twitch, thanks Beezy for subscribing on Twitch so much. Thanks to Bill Bobbin 5 for subscribing on Twitch. Thank you. And Lucas A90, thanks for subscribing on Twitch. By the way, just a heads up about something if you haven't heard. Cuba is having a total power blackout today. I'm not going to talk that much about it, but just to let you know. Cuba's power grid fails, plunging country into darkness. That's from Reuters. Cuba's national election grid shut down today after one of the island's major power plants failed, Cuba's energy ministry said, plunging the entire country into a blackout. The communist-run government earlier in the day closed schools and non-essential industry and sent most state workers home in a last-ditch effort to keep the lights on for residents. But shortly before midday, the Antonio Gutierrez power plant, the country's largest and most efficient, went offline, prompting a total grid failure and leaving approximately 10 million people without power. There will be no rest until power is restored, said the president, Miguel Diaz-Canel, on X. Update about the rocket alert from earlier when we were, earlier today. The IDF says following those sirens in the Upper Galilee area, a number of projectiles were identified crossing from Lebanon into Israeli territory. Some of them were intercepted and the rest fell in open areas. So that is an update on that rocket alert that happened a short while ago. Cody Issa did not get a notification about the rocket alert or this broadcast. If you didn't get a notification about this broadcast, you should sign up to our free notifications that we do ourselves. They work awesome. It's free to sign up. The mods will post a link to sign up to the notifications in the chat. You can also find it in the video description for this broadcast. Oh, I got some more analysis for you I want to show you. Sinwar's killing a blow but not a death knell for Hamas, analysts say. This is from Washington Post. Maybe we should do a poll first. I'm going to ask a single question. Yes or no? Will Israel respond to Iran before the U.S. election, which is November 1st? That is the poll question. Will Israel respond to Iran before the U.S. election, which is only in 18 days? Let's see what you guys have to say about this. Over on YouTube, 76% say yes, 25% say no. Did I thank PsyOps and Who Shot JR on Twitch? I think I did, but thank you anyways. Let me show you what Twitch says. Twitch says 59% yes, 42% no. Not as convinced on Twitch. Thank you, by the way, to Albino Polar Bear, who says, if they knew the person we're chasing was Sinwar, would they have tried to capture him alive? It's a good question. I don't know that. It's a very good question. Would they have acted differently if they knew it were Sinwar? I don't know. I don't know what their policy was on him. You know, there were several. One thing they're worried about is, you know, that he was with other people, and, you know, you're not just going to walk in and try to get him, because that would put Israeli soldiers at risk. You know, it's a hostile environment. There's, you know, half destroyed buildings. So my amateur guess is that they would only do that if they thought it didn't put at risk him leaving. I think they'd feel pretty stupid if they were like, well, let's try to do it a different way and try to take him alive, and then he escaped. You know, he was like their number one target, basically. So you wouldn't want to let him escape because you were trying to take him alive. I don't think they would do that. So, but, you know, if they had recognized, you couldn't recognize him really on the, but say on the drone footage, but say he wasn't masked on the drone footage and they were like, hey, that looks like Sinwar. At that point, would they have tried to get him alive? I don't know. It's a good question. Oops, sorry. Here we go. Thank you for voting in the poll. So 77% on YouTube say they're going to respond for the election. Israel will respond to Iran before the U.S. election. 23% say no. And on Twitch, 63% say yes. 37% say no. Did Sinwar have a gun on him? I believe I saw reported that he did. I'd have to double check. But, you know, they would have to find some way, if they were going to take him alive, that they could do it safely. Thanks also, Amy Vaknin, for your support. Amy Vaknin, thank you. Yes, a photo suggested he had Mentos on him. I don't know if we have... There were some photos floating around yesterday. I don't have the rights to them, I don't believe, of what he supposedly had on him. When he was killed. Yes, yeah, there's like a picture that Channel 12 posted that showed he had Mentos, some IDs, other things. I saw it reported that he had about $10,000 US dollars value in shekels, about 40,000 shekels, I think. I saw that report yesterday. Denise says, I think they found grenades on him. I thought that too. I'd have to go back and check. Ynet says, in Israel, Ynet says, oh, thanks, Kay. I had missed, K Body sent me something I want to mention. Ynet says that where is it here? He had cash, large amounts of cash, a UNRWA ID card. That is the UN group that is responsible for helping refugees in Gaza. And various weapons were discovered alongside him and the people killed with him. IDF might have posted about that. I got to look that up. Hold on a second here. Yeah, I hadn't even seen this. The New York Times says Yahya Sinwar was killed by a gunshot wound to the head, according to the doctor who oversaw the autopsy. It remained unclear, including who fired the shot, when, and with what weapon. That's interesting. I hadn't even seen that. Hold on. So again, the New York Times says that they interviewed the doctor who, the director, the doctor who oversaw the autopsy of Sinwar. And he said that Sinwar was killed by a gunshot wound to the head. I mean, he had like a hole in his head in the videos and photos. He was killed by a gunshot wound to the head, but it wasn't clear who fired the shot, when, and with what weapon. Huh. Now, CNN had a report on it too. Thanks again to Kay Lowry Body, our moderator, for letting me know. CNN says the chief says they interviewed the same person, the chief pathologist who autopsied the body. He was confident that a bullet to the head is what killed him. The Israeli military had said that Sinwar was killed after a tank fired a shell into the building. And they hadn't said anything about them killing him with a gunshot. Then CNN says they talked to the IDF, and the IDF told them there was an exchange of gunfire followed by an Israeli tank firing at the building. And they're still working to find out all the details of the event. Huh. Now also, he said to both the Times and he said that to the Times and CNN, I believe both, he said he had a missile injury on his right arm. Right. Because it was clear that I saw a video that showed his arm was severely injured, had like a huge gash in it. According to the Times, the pathologist said shrapnel from either a small missile or tank shell had hit his arm. And he was using an electrical cord as a tourniquet for the arm. Wow. Interesting. Firedog says, couldn't the wound to the head be from shrapnel? Well, the pathologist said he examined the body. And he firmly believes it was a gunshot. And this is what he does. This is like his specialty. So, I mean, obviously you have possibilities of him getting killed by the Israeli military or him shooting himself. Wessie's Corner Emporium says no pain meds, so he was suffering. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what happened. But both of those stories are based on CNN and New York Times literally interviewed the doctor who oversaw the autopsy. I wonder if anybody else talked to that person. Morgan thinks there's no way he would shoot himself. some booms coming from the northern border. Anyways, that's a very interesting report where both CNN and New York Times interviewed the lead doctor who conducted the autopsy on Sinwar's body, who insists that a gunshot to the head is what killed him. Was he abandoned by his bodyguards? From the reporting we saw yesterday, and I believe the reports might have been based on what the Israeli military said, but the reporting I saw in the Israeli military, in the Israeli media, was that he had been with two other people and Israeli soldiers fired on them, and then they all kind of ran away, and he ended up going into one building and the other two went somewhere else. So they were wounded, the other two. So they got there was like a firefight. So, and it was anyways, so that's the story I'd heard. Hey, wow, Richard Foley, that is really generous of you, Richard. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Richard. So nice of you, Richard Foley. Thank you. Also, Ani, and the sticker. Thank you, Richard, for the sticker. Ani, thanks, our new member. Our viewer Bensky says if he made himself a tourniquet, as was reported, he tried to survive. Joms says, here come all the armchair coroners. Kinetic Pause said the two people with him abandoned him. Eric Johnson says, sounds like he was the one who ran away from them. Yes, but as A-Rod says, the Israeli military did not know it was him at the time. Tinky Winky says, this attack on Iran is going to be big, and if the oil fields get hit, we will all feel it globally. Mo the Crow thinks the warfare is not going to end well, including in Israel. Wendy says the coroner recovered the bullet. I don't know if that's the case. It might have said that in one of those stories, but I don't remember seeing it. Thanks to Big Chief Rick for subscribing on Twitch. I don't believe the pathologist said that he actually had the bullet, although maybe he does. I'm not sure. Also, the pathologist said he thought Sinwar died late afternoon on Wednesday. The accounts I read said that Israel recovered the body Thursday morning, I think when it got light out. I think supposedly they were worried that there was the body was booby trapped. And it's in this half destroyed building. So they weren't just going to walk in and grab it, I guess. And also, clearly, there might have been other, they might be worried about other enemy forces in the area. Now, CNN claims that the body of Hamas leader Sinwar could be used as a bargaining chip for hostages. I don't know. I mean, maybe, but as I've told you, and I've read you articles saying this, including today, those hostages are hugely important. I think it's a plane. Those hostages are hugely important for Hamas. It's like their big bargaining chip with Israel. So I don't know that Hamas will really want to give up a lot of hostages for a dead body. An Israeli source told CNN a swap for hostages is likely the only way his remains return to Gaza. Cage Dalton says, I don't see that happening. Trading the hostages for the body, it's not going to happen. I mean, I might be wrong, but... Thank you so much, Sharon A. Bayer, our member. Thank you, Sharon. Also, I think Rick D gave some more memberships. Wow, Rick, so nice of you. Please make sure you thank Rick if he gave you a membership on YouTube, or if somebody else, if they gave you a membership subscription. Thank you, Rick. Also, thanks so much to A-Rod for your support. A-Rod says Iranian oil gas is sanctioned. Only Taliban, China, and NK are buying it, but it will still affect our oil prices. Small price to pay for terror fight. I've read a couple articles in the past where I think they might have been, thanks A-Rod, where Reuters, I believe, said that OPEC has the ability to make up for world supply if Iran's supply gets cut off, if Iran's oil supply gets cut off. But there's a worry that if Iran's oil facilities are attacked, they could attack oil facilities of other Gulf countries or somehow otherwise mess with the world's oil supply. So it's not just their oil supply. If their oil gets attacked, if their oil facilities get attacked, who knows what they're going to do to other countries. Amor said that would start a war if they do that. Well, the U.S. is worried about escalation to a regional war. A reminder, in about 15 minutes or so, this is going to be a shorter stream than our usual because I have a family thing I have to go to. And we might do some more coverage a little later on this evening. I'll see when I get back. I will have already eaten at that point, so I won't have to eat. So there's clearly a lot more to talk about. So we might, when I get back, do another stream. I have to see when I get back. But we very well might. Make sure you subscribe and follow the channel and turn on notifications. We have our own notification system. It works awesome. You can sign up for free. The mods will post the link in the chat. It's also in the description of this video, the notifications, the Discord notifications. Also, I always post on our X account, which is @AgendaFreeTV. I always post there before we go live. So you can find out there if we're going live when I get back. I'll post a link to that. But in a few minutes, I'll need to go to that. So I'm sorry for the interruption to the stream today. I hear a helicopter. Hear that? Leland Green writes, if Israel is going to strike Iran after the U.S. election, why would they bother telling Biden? He says he knows when they're going to attack. I don't know if I can't confirm that. I mean, the U.S. is a major ally. Probably is the most important ally of Israel. But you know, they could always change their mind. So again, as I mentioned earlier, and Faye Tuck's News posted a clip of this on X, Biden said that he'd do when the attack would be by Israel on Iran and what it would be, but he would not say, he would not answer either of those questions publicly. He would not give that information publicly. No, a couple people asked if I could leave a stream up. I don't like doing that when the only time I do that is when I think stuff might actually happen. It's just that, like, I don't know, it's a long time to leave stuff up, and then 5 minutes after I leave, I could lose one of the streams, and then I'm just running like a blank broadcast. What if I lose the main feed? Then I'm running a blank broadcast for 2 hours or something, So I don't really like doing that. It's one thing if I'm just going for 15 minutes or something, or if I'm eating in the next room, but it feels a little long to have it up there, given that I don't even know that you'll really see anything. So I think for today, I'm not going to do it. And then I have to worry about it when I'm not here, and because it is running, you know. So I'm not going to do it today. Patrick Ottman of CNN reports that the blackout in Cuba, total blackout today, is now going into hour 5. It's the 5th hour of a blackout in the middle of the day in Cuba. The whole country doesn't have power. Hearing some planes and helicopters on the northern border street. Yeah, let me just, I want to just mention the Cuba story for a second. Cuba's grid goes offline amid a massive blackout after a major power plant fails. This is from Associated Press. When I say northern border, I mean northern Israel. Northern Israel, which borders Lebanon. AP says Cuba's electrical grid went offline today after one of the island's major power plants failed, and a massive blackout that started a day earlier swept across the Caribbean island. The Energy Ministry announced the grid had gone down hours after the Antonio Guterres thermoelectric plant had ceased operations at about 11 a.m. local time. At the time, the authorities said that that plant was only offline temporarily. Various calls by the Associated Press seeking to clarify the extent of the blackout on Friday were not answered. In addition to the Antonio Guterres plant, Cuba has several other power plants, and it wasn't immediately clear whether or not they remain functional. Cuban officials earlier said that 1.64 gigawatts went offline during peak hours last night, about half the total demand at the time. The situation has worsened in recent days, said the Prime Minister. We must be fully transparent. We have been halting economic activities to ensure energy for the population. The head of I'm talking about the Cuba blackout that's ongoing. The head of, I think it's Cuba's energy ministry, the UNE, said the outage stemmed from increased demand from small and medium-sized companies and residents' air conditioners, as well as breakdowns in old thermoelectric plants that haven't been properly maintained, and the lack of fuel to operate some facilities. Changes to electricity rates for small and medium-sized companies, which have proliferated since they were first authorized by the communist government in 2021, were also being considered. Even in a country accustomed to frequent outages amid a deepening economic crisis, the size of Thursday night's blackout left millions of Cubans on edge. But that was last night, and now we have today blackout in the whole country. Wow. Well, I'll keep you up to date on that. I wonder how long that's going to go on for. Hey, thanks, Oil Medic, our member, and Sparky. Thanks for your support, Sparky. Thanks so much. Also, Adrian R. Thank you, Adrian R, for the gift memberships. And JD63, thanks, JD, for your support. And Long Range Precision Shooting, thank you. So nice of you guys for supporting the channel. I really appreciate that. It's really nice of you. Also, Sigbjorn Lunner. Thanks so much, Sigbjorn Lunner. If I'm pronouncing that right, I really appreciate that. So I will certainly keep an eye on that story. Who knows? If it goes on long enough, maybe we'll do a stream on it. Kerry Poteet, our viewer, seems to think there might be an October surprise, as Wikipedia says, a news event. An October surprise is a news event that may influence the outcome of an upcoming November election. Will there be something that happens in the Middle East that influences the election to a significant degree, more than what's happened there already? That I cannot tell you. Jonathan Morris says, I feel like we've had 3 to 4 of them. Well, but I mean, you know, the Middle East stuff has kind of been ongoing. So there have been developments there, but thinking about something, you know, I guess new, super big and new. Lincoln Vale says it will go on for decades. I saw something else that I wanted to mention. Oh, Al-Masira, which is one of the viewers mentioned the Houthi statement. The Iran-supported Houthis in Yemen came out with a statement about a half hour ago. Thanks to our viewer who mentioned that. I can't find the viewer's name right now, but thank you. According to Al-Masira, which is Houthi media, the Yemeni armed force, the Houthis said the martyrdom of the great commander Yahya Sinwar will only increase the resistance and all free people in the world's determination to continue the path of liberation and victory. Operations will not stop. The Houthis say their operations will not stop unless the aggression stop, the siege of the Gaza Strip is lifted, and the aggression against Lebanon stops. They say we confirm the continued targeting of the Israeli enemy with missiles and drones. Also, we confirm the continued imposition of the naval blockade on the Israeli enemy and the targeting of all ships associated with it, heading to it or dealing with it. So they have been attacking ships in the Red Sea and near the Red Sea periodically, the Houthis. So they say they're going to continue it, and they're going to continue attacking Israel. And they said that Sinwar's death will only increase the resistance and all free peoples in the world's determination to continue the path of liberation and victory. Anyways, that's a statement from the Houthis. From about a half hour ago, excuse me. All right, so guys, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. I have to go to a family thing, which I'm going to go to shortly. I will be eating at this thing, so I won't have to eat on it, do the thing where I take a break and eat. So it's possible when we'll come back, when I come back, we'll do some more coverage. I got to see how that all goes. So I'm sorry we have a bit of certainly a shorter stream than we normally do. But maybe I'll do some after. We'll see what happens, and if there's some huge new development, we can cover that too. So let me go do that. Oh, thank you to Richard Foley. Thank you, Richard. That's so nice of you, Richard. Thank you for all your support. Another sticker and support from Richard. Thank you, Richard. I really appreciate you tuning in. Again, I apologize for the shorter stream so far today. At least we got caught up on some stuff, but there's obviously a bunch more to talk about. Subscribe and follow the channel, Agenda Free TV. You can follow me on X for updates when I'm not on the air. My X account is @Lookner on X. I'll post a link to that in the chat. And I really appreciate our moderators. Big shout out to them over there on Twitch. Surly Dev there right now. And all of our other moderators there on Facebook. Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Charlotte Webb. All of our other Facebook moderators. Paul Anderson, Ronald Egnor. YouTube, Ruth Krafasi. Sabrina. And Danny James, Beth Mythical, Roberts May Queen, all of our YouTube moderators, Linda Belk and Larry on X, thanks for moderating there. And again, turn on the notifications. We have our own notification system. It works awesome. It's free to sign up. Sign up for those. The mods will post the link in the chat. You can also check out our free chat, our Discord chat. At the same link, we have a chat on Discord. You can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air. It's free. Check that out as well. Thanks to our Discord mods. Shout out also to, thanks to everybody who donated. So nice of you guys. Really generous of you. Thanks for all of your support for the channel. That's what let this channel exist. So I really, really appreciate that. It's really nice of you. I think I got everybody. Did I get everybody? Douthis, thanks for subscribing on Twitch. Douthis, the Metalomaniac, thanks for subscribing on Twitch. And Jane and Wheezy, thanks for your support on Twitch. Jane and Wheezy, thank you. And Big Chief Rick, thanks for subscribing over there. Real quick, just want to shout out our Facebook subscribers like Eve Richards, Diane Allworth, Margaret Riley, Kay Lowry Body, Robert Rial II, all of our subscribers over there. Thank you. And our Twitch subscribers like Shaggy, Wall Street, Al Yatsion, Beautiful Profanity, The Trash Flower, Delta Function X, Integrity Farmer Bob, Allistic, Daniel House, Flumpington, Lucas A90, Bill Bobbin 5, BZ, El Spoono, Flumpingtons, sorry. And all of our other subscribers over there on Twitch, thank you. LCS Fox, LCS Fox, Tech Slug. Our YouTube members like Teresa, Serge Deb, Joe Hart, Mark Foley, Turntoff, Anderson Rivera, Marissa Pugliese, William Cromer, Winding Road, Rick D, Matthias Olson, Envy, Shauna Brennan, Firejack, Naomi Nocturnell, Patricia Grace, Marissa Pugliese, Mr. Siebert, Stevie Augie, and others, thank you. So yes, so again, I'm going to this family thing now. We may have some more coverage a little later tonight after, so I'm sorry to interrupt the stream, but I need to go do this. So again, I appreciate you joining here. Before we get off the air, I did see a rocket alert. So before we wrap up, I want to just mention that real quick. The new rocket alert is in similar area to the last one. According to So Far Red Alert, Upper Galilee area, similar to the last one a couple hours ago, roughly. I don't have a camera there. Our camera's up in Kiryat Shimona, but here. Similar area to the last one, north of Sea of Galilee, northwest Sea of Galilee. a bunch of rocket alerts going off there. All right, I have to wrap this up. I got to go to this thing. Again, we might have some coverage in a little later on tonight. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you tuning in. And we will see you soon with more live coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.